ناو خدای دلوانکار جاوی هیز و آنهی جمجی کار آماده بوین هجا بج دار بوین کنفرانسی و هر کسی که اوی حاله دا آماده هر ایک لگورای پلو پایه خو لگورای جهو مکانت خو لگورای دلسوزی و خمخوری خو خیر بهن سرچاوا.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, esteemed scholars, and our dear colleagues, good morning. My name is Ms. Hala Sadala Yunus. I'm from English Department and University of Zaho. It is our great pleasure to welcome you all to the first international conference on education, pedagogy, and curriculum. We would like to extend our thanks to the presence of Dr. Amir Abdurrahman Ahmed, Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research at KRG, and Professor Dr. Diyar Abdalkarim Sa'id, the President of University of Zaho. We would also like to thank Professor Dr. Sattar Jabbar Haji, the Conference Chair and Dean of College of Education at University of Zaho, Professor Dr. Hariwan Zikri Ibrahim, the Chair of the Scientific Committee, Assistant Professor Dr. Ivan Hassan Murad, the Session Chair and Director of Language Center, for both organizing and hosting this conference. سيداتي وسادتي، ضيوفنا الكرام، باحثين المتميزين وزملاؤنا الأعزاء، أسعد الله صباحكم. يشرفنا أن نرحب بكم في المؤتمر الدولي الأول حول التربية والبيداغوجيا والمناهج الدراسية. نود أن نتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لحضور كل من الدكتور أمير عبد الرحمن أحمد، وكيل وزير التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي لحكومة إقليم كردستان، والأستاذ الدكتور ديار عبدالكريم سعيد، رئيس جامعة زاخو. كما نتقدم بالشكر الجزيل إلى الأستاذ الدكتور ستار حاجي جبار حاجي، رئيس المؤتمر وعميد كلية التربية في جامعة زاخو، الأستاذ الدكتور هاريوان زكري إبراهيم، رئيس اللجنة العلمية، الأستاذ الدكتور إيفان حسن مراد، رئيس الجلسة ومدير مركز اللغات، لتنظيم واستضافة هذا المؤتمر.
هروسا خیراتنا زوربارس گهدار شیخو سرپرشت اداره سربخوی آزاخو توا مهوانات کین بو بجدار بوند اوی کنفرانسی دا هجان او مجارال دمت بوری بصدان جارا کفتیه افروکه امیل ویری جبو گیران و انجامدانا ایکم کنفرانس الدور ایک جی گرنگترین مجارن گریدای نهاو پاشا روزامه که او جی مجارا پرورده و فیرکرنیه او مجارا الدمت بوری صدان جارا کفتیه بر رخنو گنگشین تند و دجوار کفتیه بر حلسانگاندن و گهرینا چل سر آست کسان هشیار و روشنبیر و روپلن روزنامه و شاشن تیویا چجیل سر آست حالاتی آسایی و صحبت جاده و نافمال و خزانی جی اوه کش و کشه به بهر نبینه جبرکو جبر گرینگی و هستیاری و بابت پرورده و فیرگرنه کسیم بسپور و نبسپور تنانت کسان آسایی جی خوی آخوا اوی گراره اخست و بوچون خواه هبوینه جبرکو اوی بابتی پیوندیه که راستو خو به همی خیزان و تاکن جواکی و حیو پاشروجا قطابی و زاروکن ما بوگیره دایم لورا زانکوی آزاخو کلیجا پرورده به ارکو بر پرسایت یا خوزانی خال اوی بابتی بکت خدانو جلای زانستی و اکادمی و جگو شنیگاه سایکولوژی، سوسیولوژی، پێداگۆجی و پرۆگرامێن خواندنێ و چەندین لایەنێندی هەڵکۆلین و دیفچوونێ بۆ ئەوی بابەتی و ئەوێ مژارێ بکات و بڤەکۆلینن خوێن ئەوی کۆنفرانسی چەندێکێ چارە و بەرسڤێ بۆ وەم پرسگرێکا ببینید یەتکەونە تڕێیا پەروەردە و فێرکردنێدا هێژان بەری دەست ایکم برگه کنفرانس خواه بکین دی سلاو و لاوه شینین بو اوان ماموستا و پیشنگا امین بریمه و پیشتر جاوین خطاری کرین و جاوین نشکی دی زل کرین. سلاف بو گیان اوان مردم رو ماموستایا امین سردمین سخت و دجوار لجیر خیمه و کنجن تارین شکفتا و همی بارودوخن مطرسی داردا دمان و نمانادا نهرینا دنگ فروکا و ناپال دجمنی نه ترس و برسی دستتوان نداهلانو جه پرورده و فیرکرنا جیل و برباب نی نوقتیان. رزوویان بو اوان ماموستا و ماندون ناسین هات اوان سالا جیدا سر رای همی دوخن سخت و دجوارن شر درونی و دارایی ندست داهلان نخواچه ماندی و نجی دست جه پروسا پرورده و فیرکرنا زاروکن ولات خبرداین. اوه بر همه اوان هزارهان جانگوریانه ینکو جان خواه گوری کرینو افرو هزارها قطاب خانه جه آوا بوین. اوه بر همه سایا سرایه گلشینا نبونا ایک زانکل هرمی افرو دهان زانکو صدان پیمانگه و ناوند خواندن هنه. کویا گشتیا اوان ناز و نعمتا جه کرم خوده و خوین و خوراگیریا جانفیدا و مردمی رایه. لورا شفرت فرایه هر هلکفتو بونه کی شهیدن خواه لبیر بینین جانگوریا سرکش کاروان مازن بارزانی باب گاک ادریس هردم لیات دابیسته که شپیر ببینین. زور سپاس. هجایان ده سالن در بازبویدا کویا گشتیا زوربیا پروسا پرورده و فیرکرنه بردام تاتا رخنه باران کرن تاتا آبدیت کرن سیستم و ریک و ازمون نین ولاتان دهاتن هاورده کرن و پیراو کرن جبو هنده به باشترین شیوه خدمت فیرخاز و تاک اوی جواکی بهتا کرن لدیف آستو پیورن ولاتین جهانی کاروان زانین الاوی هرم پریوچیتو گلک جه نوقتید. پشتی 30 سال حکمرانیا کردی خومالی مجارا پرورده گهشت کیش آستی و برف کیش آقاریل کاره. 30 سال رابوریدا همی او آبدیت و رازوکرنه نین دوباره پرورده و پروگرامێن خواندنێ دا هاتی نکرن ام گهاندینه کیش کناری و چه در انجام بو چه بر همو چه برخور اینا زمان چه جورا قطابی جه و پشی پێداگۆجیا و ڕێکێنوانە گوتنێ چل سر آست ماموستا و میتود و چالاکین راهنر و ماموستایان قطابیان چه گهرین پیدا کرد جیهان بینیا فیرکار و قطابی ما گهشت چه آستو لکیش گوپیت کو بلنداهیا بر خدن جیان جیهان و پاشا روژه افهمی بابت هاتی نواز کرن مجارن دجوار و گرم و گرن و کلین و دیفچون و کلرن من اوی کنفرانسینه گود اوان هر دو روزادا دروینشتنین جدا جدا دا دهنه گنگشه کرن نکجی دداخوازش برای سروک کنفرانسی پروفیسور دکتور ستار جبار علی کین حاجی کین که کرم بکتن پیوا بخیرهاتنی و پیوا کنفرانسی پیشکش کرد.
Now, I would like to call Professor Dr. Sattar Jabbar Haji, the Conference Chair and Dean of College of Education at University of Zagreb, to the stage to deliver the opening speech of the conference. الآن أود أن أدعو الأستاذ الدكتور ستار جبار حاجي رئيس المؤتمر وعميد كلية التربية إلى المنصة لإلقاء كلمته الافتتاحية.
ناو خدای مازن و دلوان هجا بیریکار وزیر خواندن بلند و وکولین زانستی برای رئیس دکتور امیر چالی رزدار سرپرشت اداره سربخوی ازاخو رئیس گهدار شیخو هجا امیندار گشتی بری ی انجمن نینرن عراق برای رئیس دکتور سیروان سیرینی هجا سروک زانکوی ازاخو برای رئیس دکتور دیار عبدالکريم برزان اندام پارلمان کردستان و عراق برزان اندام جواتا زانکوی راگرین کلیجان زور برز نینرا جواتا رواندا کردیل امریکا و کانادا نینرین دامودزگهن میری و حزبی قسکر و وکولرین کنفرانسی ین زور برز آماده بوین خوشتوی سپیدا و همیان باش بد بخیر هاتنا هواین هجات کین بو اکمین کنفرانسێ نێودەوڵەتی د پەروەردە پێداگۆجی و پرۆگرامێن خواندنێدا یە کولیجا پەروەردە زانکۆیا زاخۆ. ئەف کۆنفرانسە یە تەرخانکریە بۆ بابەتێن پەروەردەیی و گرنگیە بە پێشخستنا پرۆسێسا فێرکردن و فێربوونت دەد و هاندانا ڤەکۆلینên زانستی دکەتن برێکا دانوستاندنên ئەکادمی ji layê çendîn kesanên pispûr û şareza di evî biyavî da ji zanku damûdezgehên navxwî herêmî û biyanî kewata navdewletî hêjayan serborên welatên pêşkeftî dibarê perwerde û fêrkirinê da ew çende bi ezmûn selmandîne ku baştirîn serkeftîtirîn û berdewamtirîn weberhênan ew weberhênane ya گرنگی داته پرورده و فێرکردنا مروی. جبر کو آواکرنا جواکه که پیشکفتی گریدای پیشکفتن و پیگهشتنا تاکین اوی جواکیه. لورا جه اوی باوریا ما هی به رول پرورده و فێرکردنê da آواکرنا جواکی da ما فرزانی بردوام بین سر پیشکش کرنا خدمتên پروردهی و کارکردن پیخمت چسباندنا اوی دیاسا د سیاست اجتماعی دا بکەین و هەستکردن بە ئەرکێ بەرپرسیارەتیە کولیجا پەروەردە هەرج دەستپێک ئادامەزراندنێ کارە سەر بەرهەفکردنا کەسانên خودانشیان کریە di biyavê fêrkirinê da bi şêweyekê ku bişêt xwebgunjînêt gel awan gorakarî û kawdanê tilesiyê cîhana ev da peyda bin. Ew taybetmendiyên evî konferansî cewaziyekê detê ew e ku ew vekolînên beşdar hemî vekolînên nîne yê taze ne û pitiriya van vekolînan jî vekolînên praktîkî tecrîbî em bêjin yê hatîne encamdan bi warê perwerde û fêrkirinê de. Her wesa ji taybetmendiyeka dî ev vekolînê beşdar hemî qonaxê xwandinê da beşdarin her ji baxçê savayan baxçê zaroka ta qonaxa zankoê. Dîsan beşdariya vekolerên navxwî herêmî û navdewletî û çendîn taybetmendiyê dî. Li dîmahiyê spasiyên xwe arastey hemî wan vekolerat kim yên beşdar evî konferansî da. Her wesa qesekerên serekî yên ser daxwaznama me qebûl bûyîn û zehmet kêşayîn û ji cihên dîr hatîn pêxemet beşdariyê vî konferansî da bikin û şarezayiyên xwe di gel me da belav bikin. Her wesa mihvan û beşdarbûyên konferansî spas bû serok û endamên lijneya zanistî û amadekar yên bo mavê çend heyvane amadekariyên evîn konferansî dikin. Spasiyeka taybet bû serokatiya zankoyê taybet serokê zankoyê her wesa wezareta xwandina bilind û vekolînên zanistî ji bo piştavanî û asankariyên hatîne pêşkêşkirin. Daxwaza demên mifa û berhemdar bû hedixwazim û bi serbirina demekê xweş li bajêrê Zaxoya Delal, bajêrê rewşenbîrî, dîrok û huner û bajêrê geştyariyê. هیویه او کلینتین پیشکشکرین و دانستاندن سرتیتک انجامدان ببنه اگر پیشخستنا پروسیسا پرورده و فیرکرنه و فیربونه برف آسوین گشتر و برفرهتر ببت. نوکجی شريك بدنا من بزمان عربي بإنجليزي بخير هاتنا مهوانة كونفرانسي بكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيد وكيل وزير التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي، السيد مشرف إدارة زاخو المستقلة، الأمين العام السابق للمجلس النواب العراقي، السيد رئيس جامعة زاخو، السادة نواب برلمان كردستان والعراق، أعضاء مجلس الجامعة الكرام وعمداء الكليات، ممثلة الجالية الكردية في أمريكا وكندا، ممثلو المؤسسات الحكومية والحزبية، متحدثي المؤتمر، الأساتذة الباحثون المشاركون، الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني ويشرفني أن أرحب بكم جميعا في رحاب جامعة زاخو كلية التربية بمناسبة انطلاق أعمال المؤتمر الدولي الأول حول التربية والبيداغوجيا والمناهج الدراسية، الذي يعكس التزامنا بتطوير قطاع التعليم وتعزيز البحث العلمي عبر حوار أكاديمي يجمع نخبة من الباحثين والمختصين في مؤسسات محلية إقليمية ودولية. الحضور الكريم، كما تعلمون أن التجارب في الدول المتقدمة أثبتت أن الاستثمار الأنجح والأكثر استدامة هو الاستثمار في الإنسان عبر التربية والتعليم، ومن هنا فإن وضع التعليم في مقدمة الأولويات يشكل حجر الأساس لتحقيق تنمية شاملة وبناء مجتمع حضاري متقدم. وانطلاقا من إيماننا العميق بدور التعليم المحوري في نهضة الأمم، فإننا نؤكد ضرورة مواصلة الجهود لتطويره وترسيخ مكانته في صلب السياسات الوطنية. ومن هذا المنطلق تواصل كلية التربية بجامعة زاخو منذ تأسيسها سعيها إلى تجديد الممارسات التربوية عبر المواءمة بين النظرية والتطبيق. يأتي هذا المؤتمر استجابة للتحديات الجديدة التي فرضتها التطورات التكنولوجية والاجتماعية، ويهدف إلى فتح آفاق للتعاون وتبادل الخبرات ومناقشة أحدث الاتجاهات في المناهج التعليمية والبيداغوجيا الحديثة. وما يميز هذا المؤتمر، هذا الحدث العلمي، هو مشاركة نخبة من الباحثين والمتحدثين البارزين الذين سيعرضون دراسات وأبحاثا تسلط الضوء على قضايا جوهرية في ميدان التربية. وفي الختام أود أن أتقدم بجزيل الشكر والامتنان للسادة الباحثين المشاركين معنا بأبحاثهم والمتحدثين والمشاركين في المؤتمر على تلبية دعوتنا وتحملهم عناء السفر والتحضير لتقديم أفضل ما لديهم في هذا اللقاء العلمي. كما أعبر عن امتناننا للسادة الضيوف والمشاركين، وأتوجه بالشكر الجزيل لرئاسة جامعة زاخو ووزارة التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي على الدعم والتسهيلات المقدمة. كما وأشكر رئيس وأعضاء اللجنة العلمية واللجنة التحضيرية على جهودهم القيمة التي بذلوها خلال الأشهر الماضية لإنجاح المؤتمر. نتمنى لكم نقاشات علمية مثمرة في المؤتمر وأوقاتا مليئة بالفائدة والسرور في مدينة زاخو الجميلة، مدينة الثقافة والتاريخ والفن والسياحة. نأمل أن تسفر هذه اللقاءات عن شراكات فاعلة وأفكار جديدة تسهم في تطوير وتعزيز مسيرتنا التعليمية نحو آفاق أوسع. Good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed researchers, speakers, and participants. It's a great honor to welcome you at the University of Zaho College of Education for the first international conference on education, pedagogy, and curriculum, a reflection of our commitment to advancing education and research through meaningful academic exchange. As you are aware that investing in people through education is key to progress as seen in developed countries. This conference addresses challenges from new technology and social change, focusing on collaboration, sharing experience, and discussing modern teaching methods to improve education quality and results. As we come to a close, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all the researchers and speakers who joined us. A special thank you to Dr. Clemens for making this great effort to be here all the way from Oldenburg University, Germany, to be here at all the way from Oldenburg University, Germany, to be here at Zahosti University of Zaho College of Education. And from Finland, a special thanks goes to Dr. Amaret and Seija Mahlimäki from Hamk University, Finland. We deeply appreciate your efforts for the conference. I want to thank the scientific and preparatory committee and everyone whose effort contributed to the success of this conference. We wish you productive discussion and an enjoyable stay in Zaho, a city rich in culture, history, and art. May this conference lead to strong partnership and new ideas that move our education forward. Let us depart this academic event not only with knowledge, but with purpose, to transform education, empower generations, and shape a better future for humanity. Thank you. Zorspas, Kurdistan her alvada. نوکش دی داخوازش برای برز یجا سروک زانکوی ازاخو دکتور دیار عبدالکریم کم بو پیشکش کرنا پریوا سروکاتی ازانکوی بلا کردم که سپاسی بود.
بناوی خودی مزنود لووان هجایان مامستا گهدار شیخ و سرپرشت اداره سربخوی ازاخو دکتور امیر عبدالرحمن بریکار وزارت خواندن بالا و وکولین زانستی مامستا جبار حاجی و مامستا دلبرین حالو کارگر و نینرین لقا هشتا پارتی دموکراتی کردستان پروفیسور دکتور لزگین عبدی جمیل پرلمانتار کردستان و عراق نینرین وزارت پرورده برپرس و ریوبر میری و حزبی هاریکار و راگرن کولیجان وکولرن بهاگران لنافخو در وی حرم ماموستا و فرخوازن رزدار جه شاهنازیا میک و ابرام لزانکوی ازاخ و مهوانداری هوین هجا دکین اکمین کنفرانس ناودولتی پرورده پێداگۆجی و پرۆگرامێن خۆاندنێ کنفرانسا که هجی کو آرمان جه پیشوبرن و باشترکردنا سیستم فێرکردنی الهەرێمێ رێزداران ئەم لە سەردەمێکی دژین کو گۆڕینن زانستی پیشەیی و جواکی گەلێک بلەزن فێرکردن جی وەکو بنەڕەتێکی سەرەکیە ئەوێ گۆڕینێ دشێت ڕۆلێکی ئەرێنی تێدا هەبێت لێ بمەرجێکی کو بهێتە نیکردن و گونجاندن به اوی رنگی وجاندن و نیکلنا پروگرام و ریکن فیرکن دشید مپتر لآرمانج نزیک بکد. اف کنفرانسا دلیوه که بونیرین که دوباره بو شیواز وانه گوتنه فلسفه یا فیرکن دانان و دارشنا پروگرام خواندن به شیوه که کو بشید برسوا پیتوین اوی سردمی بدن. آماده بوین هجا زانکویا زاخو وکو ناوند که زانستیا پیشرو خبر پرس دبینید که ریک شیواز نویم پرورده و فیرکرنه بکار بینید لورا ام بفرد بینین که سقایه که نرم و داهنرانه آرام و داهنرانه بو فرخواز و ماموستان خود دابین بکن و ده همان دم دا گرنگترین دستکفتن پێداگۆجی فیرکرن زانکوی خود بکار بینید لورا هر زو زانکوی ازاخو بریال دا که پروسیسا بولونی بکار بینید و ببیتا پیشنگی اوه پروسیسی هر جاوی روانگی و پروسیس آنویا فیرکن زانکوی ازاخو لسر چندین بنماین کو فیربون لدی فراپورت و پروژه آن فیربونا تیکل بکارینانا تکنولوژیا سردم گرنگیدان بطاین زانستین هفپش کار دکد. مامستاین هجا بو هنده که ام فاجره که نوین فیرکن ور بگیرین پیتویا نیرینا پرورده لگشت آستان بگورین. زانکوی ازاخو بو اوه چنده پیوندی لگل سازی ناودولتی هنه و چندین مامستاد چارچوب پروگرام خدا جدا جدا بوده و ولات هنالتی نو پشتی زورینجی او بکار راهنانا مامستایان لدیو نیترین شێوازên wana gotinê encam didin. Ev prosêse her du aliyên piştgidar, mamoste û qutabiyan bi xwe vedigirît û bi anehiya Xwedê dêya berdewam bît. Rêzdaran zankuya zaxo li bera pîteyekê pitir bi biyavê perwerdeyê li her du kolîjên perwerde binyat û kolîja perwerde bidet û cext li ser avakirina kesayetiyeka bihêz diket. Em dê programên pişkên zanistî bi şêweyekê darijin ku li paşerojê bişên gorîneka corî li kertê perwerdê bikin. Di heman demda em piştevanên evan cora konferansan zanistî ne û bi hemîşiyan dê piştevan bîn û berdewamiyê bu hewe dixwazîn. Hêjayan zankuya zaxo li bera programekê hevterî li gel programên perwerdê hebît û bibîte tewavkerekê ew ê. Me projeyekê bihêz bû avakirina kesayetiya zarokê Kurd heye. Bi piştevaniya heweyên hêjadê cêbecêkin. Bu destpêk jî me piştevanî û rezamendiya serperiştê îdare serbexuya zaxo rêzdar mamosta Godar Şêx û wergêtiye dê bû êkem car pertûka her şev û çîrokek ku ji 365 çîroka bûn zaroka pêk dihêt. Em dê çap bikin. Ev e pişkeke ji projeyekê mezintir û bi piştevaniya hemî aliyekê dê cêbecêkin. Min divêt li vêrê mifa ji delîvê werbigirim û spasiyeka taybet arastayê cenabê serperiştê îdara serbexuya zaxo hêja Godar Şêxû bikim ku ji bilî amadebûn li çalakiyên rewşenbîrî û zanistiyên zankuya me piştevanekê xultê zankuya zaxoya û bi şêweyekê maddî û menewî harîkar e. û her wisa bi vê helkeftê bu yekem konferansê zanistî em ji dil pîrozbahiyê li birayê me mezin دکتور امیر عبدالرحمن کن وکو بریکار وزارت خواندن بالا وکولین زانستی دست بکار بوی دخواز سرکفت نبود خوازین. لدوماهی جریز و سلاف بو گیان پاک شهیدان و بنمالین سر برجن اوان سپاس بو پشمرگان قارمان حمایت سروری و سرفرازی سپاس بو حکومت حرم کردستان و پشتوانی اوان یام بردوام سپاس بو وزارت خواندن بالا و وکولین زانستی سپاس بو لقهشت یا پارتی دموکراتی کردستان پشتوانی و یا بردوام دگلزان کویا زاخو سپاس بو ماموستا وکولر و قطابیان خوشوی پشتکداری وان دوی کنفرانسی دا و دخواز دمن به مفابوات خوازین. نوج داخوازش بریکار وزارت خواندن بالا و کنین زانستی دکتور امیر عبدالرحمن که بلا کلام کرد پای وزارت پیشکشی آماده بیام کرد.
بناوی خدای مازن و دلوان برای برایز سیدای گهدار شیخو سرپرشتیار اداره یا سربخو یا زاخو یا حکومت هرمه برای سروکی زانکو دکتور دیار همی میوانن دیان برای زو خوشتوی هر ایک دیف مکانت خویا علمی و اداری هنگ همی بخیر هاتن لهمیا گرنگتر ماموستا و کولر و قطابین بارز و نشانه که گلک و پیشکفتیا قطابی زانینگه لکنفرانسێ و هادارین خاره و فایده لآخفتن و گنگشه ها ببینن. از خزور بختور و شاد بینم که وکو یکمین کنفرانس وکو دکتور دیاری بود دیف وارگرتنا ارکینوی من وکو بریکار وزارت بیمه زانینگه ها زاخو وکو جناب سروکی امر کری دمام تین زاخو ام شحند بین راستی جی ام شحند بین وقتی به آبادانیه و وی جوانیا باجر زاخو بین من دوید صلاة و رئیس و احترام برئیس جناب وزیر خیندنا بلند و همو حوالت خو لوزارت خیندنا بلند حکومت هرم بگهین ما ریک خرین وی کنفرانسی سروکاتی زانکو یا زاخو و میوانن انترنشنال من نویسا گوتارا که دریج یا نویسی بس هنگو سی چار گوتار دریج گلی بون I will make it short وکی انگلیس بیجن دی مناقشه هلمه و بو وقتی پانل او اگر اجازه بدن از دی بو میواند انترنشنال به انگلیزی به کردی گوتاره کی پیشکش بید. In the name of God, dear distinguished guests from international universities, good morning. It's a great honor to welcome you all to this important international conference on education, pedagogy, and curriculum, which Zaho University is thankfully organizing. Today, as we gather at a time of profound change, we are called to rethink how we teach, how we design learning, and how we prepare the next generation for a rapidly evolving world. The themes we will explore today: inclusive education, sustainable development, design-based education, and the reshaping of pedagogy and curriculum for tomorrow's workforce are not just academic topics, they are urgent priorities for all of us who are committed to innovation, equity, and excellence in education. At the Kurdistan Regional Government, and especially the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research, we are deeply committed to these global goals. We believe that education must be inclusive, must drive sustainable futures, must embrace creativity through design-based learning, and must continuously adapt to the needs of future economics and societies. I'm confident that the ideas shared here today will inspire real transformation across our higher educational institutions and beyond. And personally, I'm looking forward to have your recommendations and your conference outcomes for our policy making within the Ministry of Higher Education. Once again, I wish you a productive and inspiring conference, and I hope and I'm sure you will enjoy today's evening, the Kurdish Costume Festival, which is going to be held today evening here in Zaf. Thank you very much. God bless you and God bless Kurdistan.
زور سپاس بو اوان پیویت هاتین پیشکش کردن. گرتت ویتن کو برابر نبتن کس بترا علمی بخوینن هم عملی تو بکه صنعت خورا هرچی کسی علمکی قنچ خواندیه دولت گری وی به اصل زانیه هجان نکجی دیگهداری پیوا یا لجنه کنفرانسی کن یا لجنه زانستی کنفرانسی کدش لای پروفیسور دکتور هاریوان ذکری ابراهیم سروکی لجنه زانستی اوی کنفرانسی و هت خواندن هر دیسان هیرکارین اوی کنفرانسی و چوانیا ورگرتنا و کولینان دیوما رونکتن.
Thank you, Dr. Amir, for your inspiring speech. And now let us invite Professor Dr. Hariwan Zikri Ibrahim, the chair of the scientific committee, to the stage to deliver his speech. ندعو الأستاذ الدكتور هاريوان ذكري إبراهيم رئيس اللجنة العلمية إلى المنصة لإلقاء كلمته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيدات والسادة الكرام, ضيوف المؤتمر الأعزاء، الأساتذة والباحثين الأجلاء، سلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني ويشرفني أن أرحب بكم جميعا في فعاليات المؤتمر الدولي الأول للتربية والبيداغوجيا والمناهج الدراسية الذي يعقد في رحاب كلية التربية جامعة زاخو في أقليم كردستان العراق خلال يومي 29 و30 من نيسان عام 2025. ويطيب لي بصفتي رئيس اللجنة العلمية للمؤتمر أن أقدم لكم لمحة موجزة عن جهود التي بذلتها اللجنة خلال مراحل الإعداد لهذا الحدث العلمي. لقد استقبلت اللجنة العلمية 68 ملخصاً بحثياً من باحثين ذوي خلفيات أكاديمية متنوعة، حيث تم تقييمها جميعاً بعناية من قبل اللجنة. ومن بين هذه الملخصات تم استلام 48 بحثاً كاملاً خضعت جميعها للتقييم العلمي الدقيق وفقاً للمعايير الأكاديمية المعتمدة. وقد أسفرت عملية التقييم التي شارك فيها نخبة من الأساتذة والخبراء من مختلف دول العالم عن قبول 31 بحثاً للمشاركة والعرض في جلسات المؤتمر، فيما تم رفض 17 بحثاً لعدم استيفائها المعايير العلمية المطلوبة. ومن الجدير بالذكر أن جميع البحوث قد خضعت للتقييم عبر البريد الإلكتروني الرسمي للمؤتمر وفق آلية دقيقة وشفافة، حيث تم تقييم كل بحث على الأقل من قبل محكمين 2، بينما خضعت الغالبية العظمى من البحوث للتقييم من قبل 3 محكمين، وبعضها تم تقييمه من قبل 4، وذلك حرصاً على تحقيق أعلى درجات الدقة والمصداقية في تقييم العلمي، علماً أن التقييم والتحكيم تم وفقاً للتعليمات الصادرة عن وزارة التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي في أقليم كردستان، والصادر بتاريخ 24 من تشرين الثاني عام 2022. ويسعدنا أن نعلن أن المشاركات في هذا المؤتمر تجسد تنوعاً جغرافياً وعلمياً واسعاً، إذ جاءت من مؤسسات وجامعات مرموقة على المستوى الدولي والإقليمي والمحلي، حيث شارك الباحثون من ألمانيا، فنلندا، السويد، إيران، تركيا، سوريا، العراق وأقليم كردستان. أما عن سادة المحكمين الذين شاركوا في تقييم أبحاث المؤتمر فقد تنوعت جنسياتهم أيضاً، حيث شارك معنا محكمون من أقليم كردستان، العراق، سوريا، تركيا، مصر، أردن، قطر، المملكة العربية السعودية، فلسطين، نيجيريا، السويد، ماليزيا، كوريا الجنوبية، المملكة المتحدة والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. وبهذه المناسبة أود أن أتقدم بجزيل الشكر والعرفان إلى اللجنة العلمية للمؤتمر على جهودها الدؤوبة، وأخص بالشكر السادة المحكمين الكرام الذين ساهموا بعلمهم وخبرتهم في إنجاح هذا المؤتمر. ولا يفوتني أن أوجه شكرا خاصا إلى الأستاذ الدكتور ستار جبار حاجي عميد كلية التربية ورئيس المؤتمر على دعمه المستمر ولا محدود للجنة العلمية، الذي كان له أثر كبير في تذليل العقبات وتحفيز الفريق العلمي طوال مراحل التحضير. في الختام أرجو أن يكون هذا المؤتمر منصة علمية مثمرة للحوار وتبادل الرؤى، وأن يسهم في تطوير مجالات التربية والبيداغوجيا والمناهج الدراسية، بما يعود بالنفع على المجتمع العلمي. شكرا لحسن إصغائكم، وسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
زۆر سپاس و پەیوە سەرۆکی لەجنە زانستی پرۆفیسۆر دکتۆر هاریوان زیکری. بخوێنن خوێندن ڕووناکی چاوە، گەلی جاهل بەدائیم بەشخوڕاوە، ڕۆلەکەم خوێندن بخوینە مەکتەبە دەرمانی کورد، تیگیشتن مرهمه بو زامی بی سامانی کرد. هجایان بری ام دست پانال خواب کین. مدوید آماجی بتشتکی بدن. گو خوشبختانه افروکا کنفرانسێ ما هفده ملگل سیامین ویستاوالا شلو شبکا الباجر زاخو. افرو زاخو بشیوازه کی دی هنده بینن. او ویستاوالا کلتور و دیالکت و گوورین جدا این کردستانه لیک خروت کدو جاوه همی کردستانه و دبره لسره. لورا الدانه واری دخوازا دمک خوش بو هوا اوی وستوالت خوازین. ناجی پانال سرکی یان رینشتنا سرکی یا اوی کنفرانسی ده دست بکین. دخوازش پروفیسور هاریکار دکتور ایوان حسن مراد کین گو کرم بکتن مهوانت خواه و خوینیتو دست پر ببرنا پانالی کت.
Thank you, Dr. Hariwan. And now, dear attendees, welcome to today's conference. We hope you find it both beneficial and enjoyable. أعزائنا الحضور، أهلا بكم في مؤتمرنا اليوم. نأمل أن تجدوه مفيدا وممتعا. And now, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Ivan Hassan Murad, the Session Chair and Director of the Language Center, to the stage to welcome the keynote speakers.
Esteemed guests, distinguished researchers, professors and teachers and students, good morning. Today, we gather to celebrate knowledge, to foster collaboration, and advance our shared commitment in the field of education, pedagogy, and curriculum. Our presence here reflects our true commitment to fostering education and advancing our country. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome our dear panelists for this morning session, individuals who have shared leadership, scholarship, and knowledge, and who have shaped their fields of study. Please join me to welcome Professor Dr. Clemens Hellenbrand, Professor of Pedagogy and Didactics for people with special learning disabilities from the University of Oldenburg in Germany. Please proceed to the stage, Professor. Joining us also from Finland, Dr. Amarit Viskari, Director of HAMK Global, School of Professional Teacher Education, HAMP University of Applied Science. Joining us also from Finland, through digital Zoom, Dr. Asaya Mahlamäki, Special Advisor and former Dean and Vice President of the National Teacher Education Forum. Thank you very much for being with us today, and I wonder if you can hear us. You can see the crowd. Thank you very much. Dr. Clemens, please proceed. Professor Clemens, we're going to kick the ball with you first. The stage is yours now.
Thanks a lot, dear colleague Ivan. Esteemed participants at this famous and really original conference, It's a pleasure for me to be part of the scientific development in the Kurdish region, and thanks for the invitation. Thanks a lot. My job is to contribute a little bit some ideas of the international research discussion about inclusive education, especially focused also on the sustainable development. I will try to summarize a little bit the discussion we have internationally, and I think this can be helpful for the development here in your research topics and in the qualification processes for teachers for the future. I would like to say sustainability is the core of our future. Education for all is the core of our future. And inclusive education shows the way to this future. Inclusive education can contribute to the necessary steps to fulfill sustainability development. And this is the reason for my presentation today. And so let us start into this future. I would like to say that inclusion is essential for our future. I try to take some words about sustainability and inclusive education, about inclusive education as a task also here for Iraqi government, for Iraqi developments. I would like to focus your acceptance, your interest on the universal design for learning, and also for teacher competencies we need to fulfill this task of inclusive education for sustainable development. And this leads to the way of success we have to fulfill. So let's start. You all have heard about the sustainability goals. And maybe you've already heard that the number 4 of SDGs is about inclusive and equitable education. This means inclusive education is a part of sustainable development goals. As the UN described in 2015, sustainable development consists of 17 goals, and one essential part is about education for all. Inclusive and equitable education. And it aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning for everyone. Opportunities for everyone to learn all the way along your life. And I think as for us as adults, it's also important to have access, to get access to ways of learning. If you think about artificial intelligence, there are such a number of things we have to learn to handle with such new topics. And as the minister said, we have a rapid change in the world, so we have to learn lifelong. And this is important to support this via inclusive education. Especially, the Sustainable Development Goals focus on marginalized groups who are handicapped to be part. And also, disability can be a handicap to participate in education. But to support everyone is the task of inclusive education. And we can learn a lot of the research of special education, we can learn a lot of research on inclusive education. So the framework of SDGs is helpful to be benefit for everyone, for every participant in our communities. And this is the essential of the Agenda 2030. All people, regardless of ability, gender, ethnicity, background, social situation, can access to quality education. And this is essential for sustainable development. And we must think about those SDGs not as addition, but they are combined, they are intertwined, they are connected to each other. So education is essential for every other goal. So if we contribute to education for all, it is a contribution for the other goals as well. So we have to transform, we have to fulfill transformation, and this is the aim, the global aim of the SDGs. The SDGs try to transform education, but also health, well-being, also the energy sector, the economic system, also the living at rural conditions on land, the life in ocean, in sea, also to live in sustainable cities. 2026 will be focused on sustainable cities. Resilience is an important point that will be discussed about this. And also the digital development, the digital revolution, I would say, is a part also of the SDGs. So these core aims of SDGs must be in mind when you discuss about realizing inclusive education. We know that barriers persist. We know to implement inclusive education, it's not so easy as we thought at the beginning. Especially in Germany, I could tell you many of the speeches of politicians and also of researchers, we thought just to change our mind would solve everything, would solve the problems we have. No, it's a long way. We have to learn a lot. We have to do research. We have to be in communication with persons with disabilities, with persons in several living conditions, to learn from them how to realize their active participation in communities. So we have to solve with such barriers, and we have to require a concerted effort to create truly inclusive educational environments. And these experiences will contribute to realize SDGs in general, I think. So inclusive education, you see, is crucial for transformation. We have to focus on transformation by realizing inclusive education. What can be steps to success? I would like to tell a little bit about frameworks that can be helpful. And all of our researchers, all of our colleagues, they contribute to parts of these frameworks. The first framework I would like to present is the universal design for learning. You see here some figures that underline the meaning of universal design. The main point is to think before, how can everyone be part? How can everyone be active? How can everyone participate in education? The idea is coming from architecture. It was Ronald Mays, an American architect. He created the idea of universal design. You see a building here that follows the ideas of universal design. You see, you can enter into the building without using stairs. You can use the ramps. You can use steeper ramps, you can use lower ramps. Even if you are not sitting in a wheelchair, you can choose those ramps. For example, the two colleagues you see here, they like to discuss our topic. They like to be together. So you choose the longer way. It's good for your health to take fresh air. So you see, universal design helps for everyone. Also, persons in wheelchairs can participate. Sure, inside you will see also elevators, and that can be helpful. Also, you see here the public library in New York. You can see integrated the ramps and the stairs, so you can choose. You can see also some helps for those persons who like to take the chairs, the stairs. So, if you are planning a building, you think that everyone can participate. This is the meaning of universal design. Also, you can see here the example of a kitchen for persons sitting in wheelchairs. So, to think in before, to plan for everyone. This is meant by universal design. And this is also the idea of universal design for learning. To plan your classroom, to plan your learning processes, also at universities, as well as in kindergarten, as well as for adults, so that most of the people you know can participate. And this is the main idea, and to realize it, you can see a scheme that will help to transform it. The main idea is 3 areas, 3 dimensions, I would say. First dimension, engagement. Why should I learn it? Why is learning important? If you are not engaged, if you're not motivated, you will learn just for the exam, and afterwards you will forget it. But we try, for sustainable development, we try to learn for your life. So why should I learn it? This is the first question to answer. And you should open different ways. You should show why it is necessary. The second point, what should we learn? You should represent the content, the subject, in different ways. In text, in figures, in photos, in videos. We have several ways to show what to learn. And the third question is, how should we learn? How should I show that I learned something? Not only talking. Maybe I show it by a dance, I show it by a picture, I show it by a discussion. There are several ways. And universal design of learning means you offer such different ways to realize the learning process. How can we go on to establish such a universal design for learning? We have to collaborate, we have to use technology, and we have to use data-driven adjustments to adjust to the needs of our pupils. So you see, the scheme, we could deepen it, and maybe there are some ideas you get from this scheme. How could I adjust my lessons to the needs of my pupils, of my students in my class? So you could place your ideas in this scheme, in this structure. And also you can find many of results of research, many ideas to fulfill the idea of universal design for learning. We have a lot of research about this idea. This is helpful for realizing inclusive education for sustainable development. One framework. The second framework I would like to offer is, and it answers to the question, how should we support the teachers? How should we develop the competencies of teachers for inclusive education? There was a progress conducted by an international organization, the Council for Exceptional Children. Over years, we have 64 researchers, famous researchers. And the result was the high-level work practices and training for teachers, for inclusive education, for special education. And I think it covers the topic of the whole development of school system, of educational system. When we talk about teacher competencies, often it is focused on attitudes or beliefs. I think in Germany and also in European countries, we gathered the experience that attitudes, beliefs are important, but it's not so easy to change them. To be successful for inclusive education, it's not so easy to call just change your attitudes. They won't do it. They resist. Many have the experience, many persons have the experience, oh, it's not so easy to handle with children with disabilities, not so easy to handle with people with migration background. How should I do it? So I'm anxious. I won't change my mind. So we have to offer knowledge and we have to offer skills. And when you've offered knowledge and skills, your colleagues will gather positive experiences. Now they have learned, I've done it. I've been successful. We have worked together. And this leads to changes also in attitudes. So these three dimensions, they belong together. These three dimensions we should focus, and then we should use those high leverage practices. I show you just the 4 areas. First area, collaboration. To collaborate with experts, with the parents, with also scientists who foster the development. That's one point of development of teacher competencies. The second area, assessment. We should know about the stage of development of our children. Did they learn it successfully? So you can give a feedback to them. What is the need of these children? what is the language that he or she understands? What can be a supportive aid that can be used? I need some data. What is helpful? The third area is to support social, emotional, and behavioral aspects. To work together is essential for the future. When you will change something, you will cooperate. If you're not doing this, you will not be successful. You have to work in teams. You have to cooperate, and our children have to learn it. The fourth area is instruction. There's a lot of research.
Excuse me, Professor Clemens. Dear audience, حضورنا الكرام بس صوتكم بلا زحمة نقدر نركز على الكلمة. شكرا جزيلا. Go ahead, please.
The fourth area is the topic of instruction. We have a lot of research. What is evidence-based instruction? And I recommend to get informed about those results. And there are a lot of research projects that are developing our knowledge about instruction. And we should use it. For example, scaffolding. What should we do to scaffolding to foster, to solve problems in the learning process for our students? This would be quite helpful if you know, if you have the knowledge, what are the learning strategies, what are the collaborative forms in teaching that can be successful. So,
Professor, we would like you to summarize.
Yes,
please.
I will come to my last slides.
All right.
So, you see, we know the frameworks, and I think this will lead to success. And we know what we have to do. We have to train teachers, we have to implement technology, and we have to cooperate with our communities, and we have to conduct campaigns to raise awareness about inclusive education, about the SDGs, and to be successful in fulfilling these processes. So, in these days, dear colleagues, I would like to take with you a deeper look on inclusion, on our results on research, and doing this, we will gain surprising insights, I think. We will gain knowledge from each other, and this will lead to success. Good luck for our joint work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Professor, for these wonderful insights that would shape our future education and the education that we offer for our kids, especially those with special needs. Thank you very much. I would like to inform our guests and researchers that they can use the QR code. We have 4 QR codes hanged on the wall. They can use them, and also they can use this QR code to ask questions to Professor Clemens. If you can scan it, please. حضور الكرام بإمكانكم الآن إرسال الأسئلة مالكم للدكتور بروفيسور كليمنز عن طريق الQR الموجود على الشاشة. And now we would give time to our dear professor, Dr. Asaya Mahlamaki from Finland, to present her speech and presentation. Professor, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. We are all ears to listen to your presentation. And the stage is yours.
Much. Thank you. And how is it? Do you present the slides, or should I share them from here?
I am displaying the translated version of your PowerPoint for the audience.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So honorable guests of the conference, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and pleasure to share some experiences from national teacher education development in Finland. As said, I have been working as a dean in HAMK, teacher education, as well as served as the vice president of the National Teacher Education Forum for the 3 periods it has been existing, so from the very beginning. the next slide, please.
Yes.
What is National Teacher Education Forum exactly? How do we call it, and what does it mean? I would say that it is a social innovation. It's a way to develop teacher education so that all the universities providing teacher education, as well as stakeholders, administration from the highest level to the local level is taking part in, which is a huge challenge. And it is not easy to find the best ways to work with that holistic approach. So we have learned from each phase, the first period starting from 2015, and the second period starting from 2019, and the third one, which started last year, 2024. And we have learned from our experiences and based on research and evaluation what works, especially in our context, because education and teacher development is always very deeply context and national culture based. Of course, we can also find some common principles for the development. In the first period, we collected and asked the universities to choose their representatives. We also had quite good monetary resources so that we could start piloting some good experiences and ways to develop teacher education after we had made a common vision, aims, and main actions for teacher development. In the second period, we didn't provide universities with any specific resources, but they needed to use theirs into the common direction. These written documents to teacher education development programs are from the first two periods. And what we learned was that when we collect all the kinds of teachers together, there is a danger and challenge that everybody wants to bring in their needs and their targets. And it is difficult to find only few main targets for the common development project. So we made them too detailed in the beginning, but it was also at the same time a way to please people and make them feel that this is meant for me too, although I'm, for example, a vocational teacher, or I'm a teacher in kindergartens, or I'm a university teacher, or I'm a very subject-specific teacher in high schools. And the teacher word brings in so many different professions in you if you go more deeply in this. Of course, you have to consider the way teaching and learning is seen in a country and how a teacher's profession is regarded. In our country, we rely on teachers' own autonomy, as well as teacher educators' autonomy. Their learning, their development is essential, and it needs a change of the paradigm also in administration level. So it is not top-down, but it is more or less both top-down and also from the not down, but from the practice to theory is the way how we think in Finland. And that also deals with school systems, how we see schools and universities in a country. For example, especially universities of applied sciences are regarded as institutions where they serve the school system, they school the entire society and development in there. Research-based teacher education is essential so that the practices we are practicing, they are based on research. Research which is done on a very different way, I mean quantitative, qualitative, also teacher research in their own classroom is extremely important. Of course, policy informs teacher education into a certain extent, and policymakers always have to have their own share in teaching and learning, but for the most, teacher education is based on the idea of research. OECD has made some suggestions how to make a successful reform in teacher education. And when we started to design our teacher education forum in the first period, we used these principles for teacher education. But after our own research and evaluation of the development projects, we developed them more deeply, more practical, and also added some criteria, especially quality assurance, which is internal and external. So if we want to make a very holistic change in the school level, we start to take a holistic view on teacher education as well. Listen to the stakeholders, listen to teachers in schools, as well as what research and prior knowledge is informing us. The criteria are listed in the slides. You will see and get maybe later after the conference in your own languages. Now I go very shortly to the slide about the third period, which we are now living, the slide with kids running. So the Finnish Teacher Education Forum, the third period, where we have now not anymore the ministry leading, but it is now one chosen university which is leading, together with all the other universities and universities of applied sciences who have the right to provide teacher education. This change for the administration has made the universities still more autonomous to take part, decide, and design also how we are going to go further. Ministry is still informing us in one role. They are also providing the resources. Teacher Education Forum has the same basic essence. Participation is extremely important, as well as research-based. So the main aim is, with this period, more precise. We have taken less targets so that we concentrate on certain issues. One very strongly mentioned issue is teacher agency on the school level, so that they are leading their own teaching and learning processes, and also their professional development needs to be led by them too, not only by the school rectors and highest administration, so that they feel themselves empowered in
Very
their
sorry,
own.
Professor.
Yes?
would you please be able to wrap up because of the shortage of time?
Yes.
We have
Yes.
the coming slide, which is the challenges. Can we focus on that as well? The challenges that we face in the key, basically, strengths and challenges in the Finnish teacher education.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can do that, and I would say that the key issues which I have learned throughout all these 3 periods is that teacher trainers, if I call them like that, teacher educators as well as teachers, they have to have their own agency to develop so that they feel motivated to face all the challenges which are all the time increasing and increasing. We also are talking nowadays more about the resilience of teacher educators and teachers against all the challenges they are facing. Globally, they are quite much the same. And I think that we share many of them, both here in Finland as well as in Kurdistan. And also the ways to support teachers are quite much close each other. So I think it's time for me to end up and first of all thank for the invitation and also congratulate you because of the great success of the teacher trainers and teacher educators which have been educating their peers based on their lessons learned here in HAMK throughout the programs we have been having. You are maybe the most successful cohorts what we have ever had in our global international teacher education programs. And this is something, I must say. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation and insights that you've shared with us, and thank you for your time. Please be with us, stay with us, because you will have many questions at the end of the keynote speakers, or at the end of the session. So please stay with us because you will have, all right, thank you very much. And now we would, ladies and gentlemen, you can use the same QR to ask Professor Saya whatever questions you would like to ask her about the insights she has shared with us. And now we would like to give time to our dear Professor Mart from Finland. Professor Mart, are you with us? Can you hear me?
I am here. Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's my honor to present to you today. And I can see that you will be sharing my slides.
Yes.
In a short moment. Thank you very much. Distinguished conference participants, it's my great honor to present to you about design-based education. I would like to say that we have been developing higher education pedagogy in our university for many decades, and the development is still ongoing, and would like to share some ideas and thoughts about that. Next slide, please. Design-based education is an umbrella term for learning processes that are based on finding solutions collaboratively for real-life phenomena, and where the learner is in the center of the learning process. So we had a survey or monitoring report from Universities of Applied Sciences in 2020, and even though we have been doing this higher education pedagogy development for many decades, we still think that we could do better in equipping our students in problem-solving skills, in interaction and negotiation skills, and other generic skills. Generic skills, as you know, are those that are needed in all professions, as well as in those professions that do not exist yet. This is also very interesting. So the key question is, how can we develop pedagogy that would still enhance learning in the generic skills? Next slide, please.
Go ahead, please.
The idea behind design-based education relies on real-life phenomena, and we think that it is a way to equip our students with competencies to tackle wicked problems. Wicked problems are such that where there is they are very difficult to define, and there are no single right solutions. We know this from workplaces from all over the world. And also the definition of the problem is of central importance. This requires competencies that this requires deep understanding of the stakeholders which are concerned in solving this problem. So examples of wicked problems could be, for example, healthcare, education, inclusive education. We heard about inclusive education today as well. So those kinds of issues are wicked problems. Design-based pedagogy is based on socio-constructivist understanding of learning. So the idea is that the students would become from knowledge adapters to knowledge processors and producers of new knowledge. So learning to understand and learning to learn become the central competencies needed. You can see in this slide the 8 dimensions that we regard important in implementing design-based education. I will just highlight a few. Research-based approach, innovation competencies and transformative approach refer to the fact that working and learning with problem solving and projects is both research-based and creating new knowledge with useful and concrete and usable solutions, renewing society and the labor market. Next, sorry, not yet, not yet, next slide. Learning through development and teamwork. We have already heard today the emphasis on teamwork, so that the development is a learning journey in teams. Knowing how to build teams becomes an important competence. It is important to learn to create a cooperative negotiation culture and know how to help your own team to succeed to the best result and to have a positive teamwork experience. And thirdly, I would like to highlight design thinking, which is both a way of thinking and a tool that makes it possible to iteratively build user-oriented solutions to complex and tricky challenges and real problems. And these problems in our university's context, we would like these problems to arise from companies and organizations that we work with.
It's really crucial.
Next slide, please. Our experience with the design-based education is that it is very difficult to design multidisciplinary teams because it requires that degree programs will work together, even in a basic thing such as matching timetables. So it requires curricula that have space and flexibility and a strategy that everybody wants to follow and find ways to operate in this kind of design-based education environment. Interdisciplinary collaboration is easy to achieve if the multidisciplinary teams can be organized. We have multiple pedagogical tools and ways of working to facilitate interdisciplinary work. And transdisciplinary context requires that we have a framework to work with organizations and companies from outside of our university so that we can have these wicked problems and we can work to find solutions. So in HAMC, design-based education is done in a multidisciplinary teams that work in an interdisciplinary manner within a transdisciplinary context.
Right.
Next slide, please.
Sure.
We have we provide professional development opportunities to our faculty and staff to implement design-based education, and most importantly, we conduct research to make sure that we are on the right track and we can develop even further. I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you today, and I wish you great success in your conference and in the future endeavors. And I would also like to thank my colleagues, everyone there in Kurdistan, for great collaboration that we have had over the years, and we are very impressed with your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation and insights. Thank you very much for sharing your experiments and your insights with us. We will now go to the Q&A session, and we have received a number of questions, starting from Dr. or Mr. Amir Chali is asking Professor Clements, is there any mismatching between universal design learning and personalized learning in the area of artificial intelligence? If that can be.
Well, I think this is an interesting question for future research, I would say. Well, we are starting with research about using AI in education. So I think education requires individual adoptions, and AI can be very helpful. Our first experiences show that AI is depending on the program that is lying behind it and on the experience that you implement into the AI technology. And I think it's starting now. And what we see is that the adaptation to individuals is not so easy to fulfill by AI. For example, to know what is the concrete barrier in language, it's not easy for AI to fulfill, to solve this problem. So I think the idea is the same. The idea is in the right direction. Right. And AI can be very helpful for adapting teaching materials, program for certain subjects to the needs of an individual. Right. But it's starting now, I would say.
Thank you very much, Professor. Question for Dr. Asaya from our colleague Samia and Muhammad. We are education trainers, as we have started training teachers using new methods of teaching for 2 years so far. Do you think, sorry, that it is suitable to start from teachers away from their needs, school buildings first? To summarize the question, do you think we should start with teachers away from the facilities, teaching facilities, or we should right away start with building teachers? What do you think?
If we want to really teach in an effective way, so we should always take into account the context where the teachers will be teaching. So we have to be aware the conditions and possibilities and challenges what they might face, because in practice schools have very different facilities, for example, resources, monetary resources, I mean. So taking them only in a common course, having same targets without understanding the context is not maybe the wisest way to work with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I should ask one of my questions. How does Finnish Teacher Education Forum promote collaboration among universities? You know, universities should collaborate on different levels, I believe, to learn from each other, to make use of each other's experience, and to nurture in the same level.
Yes.
The second part of the question would be, policymakers, how can policymakers develop teacher education, or how do policymakers support and develop teacher education in Finland? Thank you.
So the first part of the question was about the collaboration. So
Okay.
National Teacher Education Forum consists of people who have been chosen by the universities to take part. And they typically were asked to pick, first of all, the deans, as well as some other teacher educators, so that both the highest administration as well the people really having hands on the teacher education are taking part. We meet regularly 3 or 4 times per year, face-to-face 2 times, and then more often online, because Finland is also quite a big country geographically taken.
Can we know the basis about this meeting? Like, what is the core of the meeting, please?
It depends on the process where we are. For example, when we were forming the vision for the common teacher education, so we were working on the latest research, which everybody was asked to bring in, and we analyzed what research is informing. And then we had workshops with a smaller group of people, representatives, and then we presented our digested results for them to criticize and make it even more precise. And then we also sent them some surveys. So we use different tools, and I think it is also important to be effective in cooperation, so that not always everybody is taken in, but then a working group is making some drafts to present for the bigger audience and asking their opinions, like voting or really listening what they are saying or writing to us. So based on the process of work, we collect them for different purposes and with different methods.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
There's
And
another
then-
question for Professor Marit from Khalida Ali. How can universal design for learning everyone take part in education? How can universal design for learning take everyone in education?
Yes. The inclusiveness of education is something that also requires an organizational vision and strategy of how to make it happen in practice. For example, in our university, we have our internal training programs for our faculty and staff also, not only the teaching professions, but everybody that works in our university, to make sure that we can all understand how to include everyone and what kind of measures we have to make and take to include everyone and to promote inclusive education. So internally, making sure that the quality of education that we provide is taken into account. And I think that it's quite a big job, because we have several hundreds of faculty and staff, and we all need to understand what it means and how to implement it. So working together and making sure that we have professional development is key, at least in our university.
Another following question says, how can we use DBE in KRG, in Kurdistan region of Iraq? Any suggestions?
An easy question.
Yeah, really easy.
That's a very long, I mean, it needs a very long answer for that, right? And a very long experience as well. But thank you very much
Yes.
for the question, dear
Yes.
Jahwar.
I think that you are well on the way already, as far as we know what you have been doing over the years, and it's all all the activities that you have done in your universities and in higher education pedagogy basically are aiming towards something like design-based education. And again, I would like to highlight that it is something that we implement here. The design-based education in Kurdistan might look a little bit different, but it might have the same features and dimensions as was mentioned in my presentation. But yes, many things need to happen at the same time to make it work, and we are still practicing it as well. It doesn't always succeed, but then there are many cases that it has succeeded.
Exactly. Thank you very much for joining us all from Finland. Digitally, the professors Marit and Saya, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. It's been a pleasure.
Sada Muhammad, that's online. Now we're going to ask Professor Clements. We have many questions for Professor Clements, who would like to absorb every information that he's here for. There is a question from Ms. Diman Jaxi for Professor Clements. How can we adapt global SDG to fit Kurdistan region educational system?
Well, I think the SDGs, they are signed from many countries, and they are goals as global goals, and we have to fulfill them together in cooperation with other countries. You won't be successful if you try to work alone. And in every area of our country, of our culture, there must be done several steps. And to fulfill the SDG number 4, you also need the cooperation to, for example, to administration. The buildings are really important, so also to the cities. So to fulfill these goals needs a concentrated cooperation between several areas. And if you want to focus on education, I think the next steps would be to fulfill accessible education. This means to reduce the barriers, not only the barriers in buildings, but also the barriers in language, for example. To use language in different ways, to support by pictures, for example, to support by clearing words, to support by using different figures that show the content, the subject. So, and to use also learning methods that are different, that children can choose. Do I want to work alone, or do I need an assistant? Do I need a group to work with? And I offer the opportunities to do it as the children for its best, as it's for its best. So this opens the area of education. We change from a teacher-centered education type to a more student-centered.
Right.
As we heard from the colleagues from Finland also.
Yes.
And we as teachers, we are experts in collaborating with the students. We are expert in knowing what is helpful in offering the supportive materials. So this could be the first steps, I think.
Right, yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Clements, for joining us today. Thank you, and once again, welcome in the beautiful land of Kurdistan. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, everyone. We're sorry for not being able to take your questions one by one, but it's like because of the shortage of time. Thank you very much again, and wish you all the best.
دومایکا اوی پانالیست پاسیا هر سه پانالیستیت خواهد کین لیسانس پاسیا رببر پانالی پروفسوری هاریکار مامستا ایوانی کین نکجی دیده خازش برایس دکتور امیر عبدالرحمن احمد بریکار وزارت خواندن و بلند و کلین زانستی کین کو کرم بکتن رئیس لینان پیشکشی دکتور کلیمنسی بکتن فرمو زۆر سپاس ڕێزلێنانên هەر دوو مهێڤانên مێدی دکتۆرا مارێت و سێیا دشلای سەرکێ کۆنفرانسی بە بۆ هێنا ڕەوانەکردن ئامادە بۆی هێژا ڕێوڕسمên تەناڵێت me yedvî danî dimay hatin lê danê êvarê demjimêr sê rêniştina êkê û duê li hola roj û dîsal evê holê dê dest pêketin û ev rûketa me çar rêniştinê dî hene ji demjimêr sê dê dest pêketin her dîsa sibahî li danê spêdî jî me rêniştinê zanistî hene hemî layê bixêr bihê ser sera û serçava nike jî kerem ken gel berêkekê